Sometimes you have to burn your whole life down to realize you were living in a cardboard box. Whitney. 3. And I guess I'm an arsonist now. My marriage to Russell wasn't bad. Exactly. He was one of those steady guys. Paid bills on time. Remembered my sister's birthday. Held me when my boss made me cry. Even vacuumed under the couch. But somewhere along the way, I started feeling like I was suffocating. He was so predictable. So reliable. Isn't that terrible? I'm complaining that my husband was emotionally stable and had a functioning alarm clock. The restlessness started small. I'd find myself staring out the window at work, wondering if this was all there was. Then I met Morgan at this pottery class I signed up for on a whim. She was everything I wasn't: spontaneous, adventurous, never apologized for taking up space. She had this energy that drew people in, including me. Morgan was going through her own divorce, and we'd get wine after class and talk for hours. She'd say things like, relationships should elevate you, not contain you. And monogamy is an outdated emotional construct. This coming from a woman who cried for an hour because some married guy she was seeing stopped texting her back. The irony was lost on both of us at the time. I started pulling away from Russell. More me time. Less we time. More wine nights with Morgan. Less quiet evenings on the couch with my husband. Russell noticed, of course. He'd ask if everything was okay, and I'd say yes while mentally planning my next escape. I feel like I haven't really lived yet. I told him one night. The words just came out, but I meant them. He looked hurt. What does that mean? You think our life together is holding you back? I couldn't answer honestly, so I just shrugged. I don't know. I'm just feeling restless. Russell tried harder after that. He planned date nights, brought home flowers, listened more intently when I talked. It was sweet, but it felt like he was trying to put a band-aid on a bullet wound. The damage was already done. Morgan kept whispering that the marriage was limiting my growth, like living in a clean house with a joint savings account was some kind of jail sentence. She made it sound so simple: just leave, find yourself, be free, as if freedom was a place you could visit rather than a state of mind. I started dropping hints that I wasn't happy. Russell would ask what was wrong, and I'd say nothing while sighing dramatically. He'd suggest counseling, and I'd say maybe while knowing I had no intention of going. Looking back, I was being cruel, but at the time, I felt justified. I was unhappy, and that was all that mattered. The day I told Russell I wanted a divorce, he looked like I'd punched him in the stomach. Is this about Morgan? He asked. Because she's filling your head with ideas. Don't blame Morgan? I snapped. This is about me, my needs, my growth. Your growth, he repeated, his voice quiet. What about our growth? As a couple? I didn't have an answer for that. I just kept thinking about Morgan's words. You can't pour from an empty cup. Whitney, you need to fill yourself first. The divorce was messy. I kept the cat because Russell was allergic, which was a low blow even for me. I wouldn't let him take the good knives because my mom gave them to us. He took the rice cooker and what I can only assume was a bunch of emotional scar tissue. I tried not to think about him too much after that. Morgan and I started planning our freedom tour almost immediately. Portugal, Italy, Bali. We posted pictures looking unbothered in long dresses and sandals that cost more than Russell's monthly rent. I know neither of us could really afford it. Credit card debt can take you a long way if you're willing to ignore the consequences. We got matching bracelets and posted captions like saying yes to ourselves, which was funny because we'd said no to literally everything Russell had done for 6 years. His stability, his kindness, his love all rejected in favor of Instagram-worthy moments and a temporary high. The first few weeks of traveling were amazing. We stayed in hostels, talked to strangers like they were prophets, took pictures at sunset. But somewhere between Portugal and Italy, the novelty started wearing off. Morgan and I started getting on each other's nerves. Little things. At first she took too long in the bathroom. I was too picky about restaurants. Then bigger things. In Bali, we had a massive fight over something stupid. She used my phone charger without asking, and I called her out on it. She accused me of being controlling, just like Russell. That stung. I told her she was using her spiritual journey as an excuse to avoid dealing with her issues. Things were said that couldn't be unsaid. We came home early from Bali, barely speaking. Morgan dropped me off at my new apartment without so much as a hug. A week later, I noticed she'd unfollowed me on Instagram. When I tried to call, I discovered she'd blocked me. Just like that. 6 months of friendship vanished. I was alone again. But this time, with a mountain of credit card debt and no husband to fall back on, I tried to enjoy my freedom. But it felt hollow. The apartment was quiet. The cat was indifferent. And my soul-searching had left me more lost than ever. A few months after the blow-up with Morgan, I ran into a mutual friend who mentioned Morgan had been asking about Russell. I laughed it off. Why would Morgan care about my ex-husband? But the seed of doubt was planted. Then came the day I saw them. I was grabbing coffee when I spotted Russell across the street with Morgan. They were laughing, walking close together. My stomach dropped. I ducked behind a pillar, watching as Morgan touched Russell's arm. He didn't pull away. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about them together. It made no sense. Morgan was the one who encouraged me to leave Russell. She called him boring, predictable, emotionally stunted. Now she was laughing at his jokes, touching his arm. I called Russell the next day. No hello. Just, did you sleep with Morgan? There was a pause on the other end. Why do you care? He asked, his voice calm. Why do I care? I repeated, my voice rising. She was my friend. You're my ex-husband. That's why I care. You didn't care when you left me for her, he said quietly. That's not what happened, I snapped, even though it kind of was. Did you or did you not sleep with her? I demanded. Another pause. Yes, he said finally. We did. I hung up without saying another word. My hands were shaking. How could they do this to me? Morgan, who was supposed to be my soul sister, my partner in this journey of self-discovery, and Russell, who was supposed to be too boring to even consider something like this. Later that night, I got a text from Morgan, an unknown number, but I knew it was her. Hey, it's Morgan. I know you're pissed, but you need to hear my side. Russell and I connected after you, and I had our falling out. He was there for me when no one else was. Things just happened. I'm sorry if it hurts you, but I'm not sorry it happened. I stared at my phone, disbelief turning to rage. She was sorry it hurt me, but not sorry it happened. What kind of apology was that? I texted back. You used me to get to him. This whole time, you wanted him. Her response came quickly. That's not true. And you know, but I'm not going to apologize for finding happiness with someone who actually knows how to treat a woman. The implication was clear. Russell knew how to treat a woman. Unlike me, I threw my phone across the room, not caring when it cracked against the wall. The next few weeks were a blur. I deleted all my social media accounts, unable to bear seeing pictures of them together. I stopped answering calls from mutual friends, tired of their pity and judgment. I was alone, truly alone for the first time in my life. I ran into Russell a month later at the grocery store. He was with a young woman, early 20s, pretty in that effortless way that makes you hate her a little. They were holding hands, looking happy. When he saw me, he didn't look away or act guilty. He just nodded politely, like I was a casual acquaintance. Whitney, he said. This is Chloe. Chloe smiled warmly, like she had no idea who I was. Maybe she didn't. Hi, I said, my voice tight. New friend. Girlfriend. Russell corrected, his arm tightening around her shoulders. We've been dating for a few weeks now. A few weeks. That meant he'd moved on quickly. That meant he'd probably been with Chloe while he was still sleeping with Morgan. The thought made me sick. Well, good for you, I said, trying to sound genuine and failing miserably. Thanks, Russell said. Chloe's actually moving in with me next month. We're really happy. The words hit me like a physical blow. Moving in, after 6 years of marriage. He was moving in with a girl he'd known for weeks. A girl who was probably young enough to be his little sister. That's great, I managed to say. I should get going. Nice meeting you. Chloe, you too, Chloe said, her smile never faltering. I walked away, my cart half full of groceries I no longer wanted. In the parking lot, I leaned against my car and cried. Not for Russell. Not really. For the life I'd thrown away. For the mistakes I'd made. For the loneliness that seemed to follow me everywhere. A few days later, I got a call from my sister. She'd heard about Russell and Chloe through the grapevine. He's really moved on. Hasn't he? She said. Apparently, I replied, trying to sound indifferent. You know, she said gently. You can't be mad that he's happy when you're the one who ended things. I'm not mad he's happy. I lied. I'm mad he's happy with her. With Morgan? With everyone but me. That's not fair. Whitney, my sister said. You left him. You told him you needed to find yourself, to grow. Now he's doing the same thing. It's different. I insisted. How? She asked. Because he's not traveling the world or posting about it on Instagram. Because he's not calling it self-discovery. I didn't have an answer for that. The worst part wasn't losing Russell. It was losing the narrative. I was supposed to be the one who moved on, who found happiness, who grew. Instead, I was stuck in a cycle of regret and resentment, watching my ex-husband thrive without me. I saw them again a few weeks later, this time at a restaurant. They were with another couple, laughing, sharing food. Russell looked different, lighter, somehow happier than I'd ever seen him in our last year of marriage. Chloe caught my eye and smiled. Genuinely, I smiled back, tight-lipped, and quickly looked away. I couldn't bear to see their happiness up close. That night, I drank too much wine and sent Russell a text I knew I'd regret in the morning. Hope you're happy with your little replacement. Does she know you slept with Morgan first? Does she know you'll probably get tired of her too when she stops being exciting? He didn't respond right away. And for a moment, I thought he might ignore me. But then my phone buzzed. Chloe knows everything about my past, including you. We don't have secrets. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry things didn't work out for you the way you hoped. I really am. The kindness in his message was more hurtful than any anger could have been. He wasn't just happy he was kind. He was mature. He was everything I'd accused him of not being. And he was doing it all without me. I didn't respond. What could I say? That I was sorry. That I'd made a mistake. That I wanted him back. None of those things were entirely true. And even if they were, it was too late. The next day, Morgan called me. We hadn't spoken since the fight in Bali, and I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello, I said, my voice cold. Whitney, she said, her voice tight. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about, I said. You slept with my husband. End of story? Ex-husband, she corrected. And it's not the end of the story. Russell and I broke up. I felt a sick surge of satisfaction. What happened? Did he get bored with you too? No, she said, her voice cracking. I broke up with him. I realized I was using him to get back at you. It wasn't fair to him. At least you're self-aware, I said sarcastically. I'm trying to be, she said. I miss you? Whitney, I miss our friendship. I laughed. A harsh sound. You miss me? You betrayed me. You slept with my husband. Your ex-husband, she said again. And you left him. You didn't want him anymore. That doesn't mean it was okay for you to what? She interrupted. To find someone who actually treated me well? To be happy for once in my life? The hypocrisy was astounding. You told me he was holding me back. You told me I needed to leave him to grow. Now you're saying he's the one who treats you well? Make up your mind. Morgan. People change, she said quietly. Perspectives change? I was wrong about him. About a lot of things. And what about me? I asked. Were you wrong about me too? She was silent for a moment. I think we both lost sight of what was important, she said finally. I think we got caught up in this idea of freedom and growth without considering what we already had. It was the closest she'd come to admitting she was wrong, to taking some responsibility for what happened. But it wasn't enough. It would never be enough. I have to go, I said, and hung up before she could respond. I sat on my couch, staring at the wall. The cat jumped into my lap, purring loudly. I stroked her fur, thinking about Russell, about Morgan, about Chloe. They were all moving on, finding happiness, while I was stuck in the same place I'd been when I left my marriage alone, restless, searching for something I couldn't name. The difference was, now I knew it was my own fault. I was the one who walked away, who listened to the wrong voice, who chose temporary excitement over lasting stability. I was the one who burned my life down, only to realize I had nothing left to build with. I picked up my phone, scrolled through my contacts until I found Russell's name. I typed out a message, deleted it, typed it again. I'm sorry, it said. For everything, I hope you're happy. You deserve to be. I stared at the message for a long time before finally hitting send. It wasn't much, but it was all I had to give. All I'd ever had to give. Really, he never responded. And that was fine. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. Some mistakes can't be undone. All we can do is learn from them. If we're willing, if we're strong enough, I'm not sure I am, but I'm trying to be, for whatever that's worth.